Everyone, my name is Grace, and for our Raising Strong GHP Kids webinar today, we are going to be talking about winter safety. So just a disclaimer, this information is being provided in order to increase your awareness. It is not intended to be medical advice. If you believe that you may have any medical conditions or have specific questions regarding your health, please see your physician. So our first suggestion when it comes to winter safety is to plan ahead. Are you ready for storm-related things that happen in the wintertime, such as car accidents, hypothermia, frostbite, carbon monoxide poisoning, heart attacks, loss of heat, power, and communication services? Winter storms can bring extreme cold, freezing rain, snow, ice, and high winds. These storms can last a while, a few hours or many days, and they create risks of all the things I just recently listed previously. Older adults, children, people with medical problems, and pets are at the greatest risk during winter storms. It is important to know how to protect yourself, your family, neighbors, and the entire community during winter weather. So, a few winter terms to pay attention to. Pay attention to weather reports, emergency information, and alerts before and during winter storms. A winter storm watch is used to alert the public of the possibility of heavy snow, heavy freezing rain, or heavy sleet. This is usually issued about 12 to 48 hours before the start of a winter storm, and at least a 50% chance of a storm, but its location and timing can sometimes be uncertain, so pay attention to that. Another winter term is a winter weather advisory, and these are issued for amounts of snow, freezing rain, freezing drizzle, and sleet that can cause major problems, and if caution is not taken, could potentially lead to dangerous situations. An 80% chance or greater of a winter storm with a winter weather advisory. The last one is a winter storm warning, and these are issued when dangerous winter weather in the form of heavy snow, heavy freezing rain, or heavy sleet is near or actively occurring. This is usually issued 12 to 24 hours before the start of a winter storm. During a winter storm warning, you need to find shelter right away. So next, we want to talk a little bit about home safety and how you can prepare to keep your home safe during the winter time. So, how do you prepare your home for winter weather? You can prepare your home for winter weather by completing home protections and repairs before the winter weather strikes. So this includes proper installation, checking caulking and weather stripping to keep out cold drafts, storm windows that can help keep heat in the house, trimming tree limbs that could freeze or break off or potentially damage your property. And then also preventing pipe freezing. So during periods of extreme cold that last several days, home flooding and water damage often happen when the water inside of the pipes freezes. This causes them to crack and explode. If pipes are exposed, one solution is to turn on indoor faucets and allow a small stream of water to run until the extreme weather passes. A more permanent solution is to wrap those exposed pipes, both indoor and outdoor, with insulation or newspapers to cover them with plastic to keep them dry before the cold weather strikes. It's important to know where the water shutoff valves are located in your house in the case that the water might need to be turned off in a hurry. It's also important to prepare and gather emergency supplies in the case you are snowed in for a few days. Make sure you have everything you need to ride out the storm. These things include water, non-perishable food for humans and animals, necessary medications, first aid kits, flashlights, a radio, some batteries, all in case that there might be a power failure during the winter storm. So for power outages, planning for a winter power outage is about more than just dressing warm. You want to plan for alternate ways to stay warm. This could include gathering dry firewood for wood burning stoves or fireplaces to keep at least one room in your house warm. Consider living in one room during the winter storm and closing off the doors to the rest of the rooms that are not being used to conserve heat. Non-electric space heaters, such as kerosene heaters, wood-burning heaters, and propane heaters, are also a really good way to stay warm. But take care when placing them around the house, especially if you have pets or small children. You also want to ensure that all smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are working, especially when using fireplaces, wood-burning stoves, space heaters, and generators. It's also important to unplug appliances with electronic components such as computers, microwaves, and televisions to avoid damage when the power comes back on and a power surge could occur. So, carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless, deadly gas. We need to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning during a winter storm. So only use generators and grills outdoors, outside of the house, and away from windows. Also, it is suggested to never use a gas stove top or oven for heat during a winter storm. A lot of people may have generators, and here's a few things that we can do to stay safe when we use our generators. So these things can be helpful when the power goes out, but it's really important to know how to use them safely. So like I said previously, only use our generators outside, okay, and outdoors. And keep these generators at least 20 feet away from windows, doors, and attached garages to prevent potential carbon monoxide poisoning. Lastly, it's really important to keep the generator dry and protected from rain or flooding. Potentially touching a wet generator or devices connected to one could cause an electric shock. There's also some safety tips for when we use a space heater. So, portable electric space heaters can be a great source of added heat, but can be a major fire and electric shock hazard if not used properly. So, before using any space heater, read the instructions and warning labels carefully and make sure it is listed by a recognized testing laboratory. We should also inspect the heater for cracked or broken plugs or loose connections. If the plug is frayed, worn, or damaged, please do not use the heater. We should never leave a space heater unattended. Always turn it off when you are leaving a room or going to sleep. Never use a space heater to warm bedding, cook food, dry clothes, or thaw pipes. Proper placement of space heaters is important. Keep heaters at least 3 feet away from children, pets, or anything that can burn. This includes papers, clothing, and rugs. It's also important to keep the space heater out of high traffic areas and doorways where there may be a tripping hazard. Plug space heaters directly into a wall outlet. Do not use an extension cord or power strip, which could overheat and potentially result in a fire. Do not plug any other electrical device into the same outlet as a space heater. Unplug the space heater from the outlet when it is not in use as well. Place space heaters on level, flat surfaces. Please do not place space heaters on cabinets, tables, furnitures, or carpet, which could potentially overheat and start a fire. Next, I want to talk a little bit about outdoor safety in the winter. So, when going outside to inspect for damage, be alert for downed power lines that may be hidden in snowdrifts, debris, or tree limbs. Be concerned for the elderly, children, and pets that are outdoors, as they are more vulnerable in the cold than any other population. Check to see if neighbors need help, especially those who are elderly or have medical problems. It is important to clear walkways of snow and ice. Also, we should spread de-icer and wear proper footwear such as water-resistant boots with good rubber treads when walking on snow or ice. Take short steps and walk at a slower pace so you can react quickly to a potential change in traction. Freezing weather is hard on the body, which can make shoveling a very difficult activity. Shoveling may cause fatigue, dehydration, back injuries, heart attacks due to overexertion. And how we can avoid injury from shoveling or snow removal is by doing a few things. So, first, we want to warm up before our activity. When we're shoveling, we want to make sure to scoop small amounts of snow. When possible, push the snow, and instead of lifting to avoid back and other injuries, we should push the snow. When lifting the snow on the shovel, we should keep our back straight and lift with our legs. Do not try to turn or twist the body lifting a heavy shovel. It's also important as well to avoid injury to take breaks in warm areas between shoveling. Another way we can remove snow is by using snowblowers. So snowblowers must be properly grounded to protect from electrical shock. Snowblowers can potentially cause injuries when trying to clear jams with the equipment turned on. So never clear a jam on a snowblower by hand. Instead, you should turn off the snowblower and disconnect equipment from power sources. Wait for all moving parts to stop. Use a long stick to clear wet, snow, or debris. You should also keep your hands and feet away from moving parts. Refuel the snowblower prior to the start of the machine. Do not add the fuel when the equipment is running or when the engine is hot as well. Now I will go over a few different medical conditions that could arise during a winter storm. So the first one is hypothermia. And what hypothermia is your body's temperature falling below normal due to exposure to colder temperatures. And this occurs when proper clothing is not worn or when clothes get wet, which can draw heat away from the body. Hypothermia can also happen more quickly in children than adults. So hypothermia continued. Here are some signs of hypothermia and some actions. So some signs of potential hypothermia can be shivering, tiredness, clumsiness, confusion, shaky hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and a body temperature below 95 degrees is technically a medical emergency. So some actions that we can do if any of these signs are being shown by ourselves or someone we are with during a winter storm, uh, since it is a medical emergency, the number one course of action would be to call 911, okay? Also make sure that you go inside into a warm room until help arrives and get off all of that wet clothing that could be keeping you cool. Try to warm the center of your body first, the chest, neck, head, and groin region. Also, try to keep dry and wrapped in blankets, including the head and neck, while you are waiting for help. Frostbite is another medical condition that can arise out of a winter storm. And frostbite can include skin freezes and loss of feeling in the skin or on certain areas of the body, and also color changes to the skin. Frostbite can most oftenly occur on your face, fingers, toes, your ears, and your nose. So, very those external parts of our body. And some signs of frostbite can be numbness or burning on the skin, discoloration, whether it's white, pale, or the graying or yellowing of skin. It could also cause a change in texture, make your skin feel firm or waxy. And frostbite can also cause blisters as well. So some actions that you can do if you notice any of the signs of frostbite would be similar to hypothermia. So go into a warm room and soak in warm water, not necessarily hot water, but warm water. Warm washcloths can be used on a frostbitten nose or ears or lips rather than submerging that part of the body in water. Use body heat, clothing, and blankets to warm up. Also, you can drink something warm, and it is important to note to not rub the frozen area of your skin or use a heating pad. If the numbness continues for more than a few minutes, please contact your doctor. So some things we can do to prevent hypothermia and frostbite is checking the wind chill. So Check the wind chill and avoid being outside in temperatures or wind chills below 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperatures this low begin to freeze exposed skin within minutes. We can also wear proper clothing, so wearing layers to keep warm and dry. Insulated boots, mittens, or gloves, and a hat should also be worn. And then also change out of wet clothes right away if we were in the cold. We can also take breaks. So set time limits, especially for children, on the amount of time spent outside, and have a warm place designated to go for regular indoor breaks to warm up. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can keep our children safe through the winter weather. So children are at more risk in the cold than adults, and this is because their bodies are smaller, they lose heat faster than adults, and they are less likely to come inside when they are cold, especially if they are having fun. So it's really important to dress infants and children in several thin layers when they are outdoors. They should also wear boots, gloves or mittens, and a hat. You can dress older babies and young children in more than one layer of clothing than an adult would wear in the same conditions. Dress babies and children in thin, snug layers rather than thick. Bulky coats or snowsuits can be used while in the car or outside. Do not use blankets, quilts, pillows, or other loose bedding in an infant's bed. Use a one-piece sleep clothing instead. Even though they are warm, using multiple could potentially lead to suffocation. So ice skating safety. We want to skate only on approved surfaces, checking for posted signs by local police or recreation departments, or call your local police department to find out where outdoor skating is allowed. You also want to make sure you're skating in the same direction as the crowd to avoid collision. Avoid darting across the ice super fast. Never skate alone. Do not chew gum or eat candy while skating. And have your child wear protective gear, so a helmet, knee pads, elbow pads, especially if they are just learning how to skate to reduce injury. So sledding, something fun to do in the winter, but definitely something we need to make sure we are doing safely. So when we are sledding, we want to make sure to keep away from motor vehicles. Also, if you are sledding with your children, really important to always supervise your children. We also want to keep younger children separate from older children, just because when we are sledding, there might be a difference in the amount they can sustain. So important to keep them separate. When we sled, we want to sled feet first or sitting up instead of lying down head first, and this can help avoid head injuries. When we are sledding, we want to consider having your child wear a helmet. Um, Steerable sleds are safer than snow discs or inner tubes. Sleds should be free of sharp edges. Sled slopes should be clear of objects like trees or fences covered in snow, not ice, not be too steep, and end with a flat runoff. And then also we should avoid sledding in crowded areas. So safe skiing and snowboarding. Children should learn from a qualified instructor in an age-appropriate program before skiing or snowboarding. Never ski or snowboard alone. Young children should be supervised by an adult while skiing or snowboarding. Older children's needs for supervision depends on their skill level. If older children are not with an adult, they should at least be with a friend. It's important to wear a helmet. Ski facilities usually require the use of helmets, but if not, and if you're not at a ski resort, parents should enforce the requirement for their children themselves. Equipment should properly fit the child. So this goes for helmets and jackets and all that stuff should properly fit. Snowboarders should wear gloves with built-in wrist guards as added protection. Also, we can wear eye protection or goggles to protect our eyes while we are skiing and snowboarding. The slopes that we are using while we are skiing and snowboarding should fit the ability and the experience of the child. And we should also avoid crowds and areas with trees and other obstacles that could make our skiing and snowing difficult or at risk for injury. So, snowmobiling safety. Children under the age of 16 should not operate a snowmobile. Children under the age of 6 should not ride on a snowmobile. Do not use a snowmobile to pull an occupied sled or skier. It's important to wear goggles and wear a helmet as well that is approved for use on a motorized vehicle like a motorcycle while we are snowmobiling. We should also be traveling at safe speeds. We should also never ride alone or ride at night. And it is also important to stay on marked trails and away from roads, water, railroads, and pedestrians. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about vehicle safety. So it's important to check the weather before you go. If the weather is cold, try to warm up the car before you travel. Avoid carbon monoxide poisoning from a car's exhaust and never leave a running vehicle in an enclosed structure such as a garage, even if the door is open. If the forecast looks bad, wait out the storm if possible. Share your route and your travel plans if you must travel in dangerous winter weather. Check the following before traveling and before winter weather strikes. On our car, we should check the ignition, brakes, spark plugs, air, fuel, and emissions filters, the battery, tire wear and air pressure, antifreeze levels, windshield washer fluid levels. We should make sure to remove snow and ice from the windows, mirrors, and vehicle roof before we start driving. And during the winter weather, it's important to keep your gas tank at least half full. So, knowing what to do to avoid a crash in winter weather. Safety features on most cars, such as traction control and anti-lock brakes, make it safer to avoid crashes, but precautions should still be taken, especially when we are driving in severe winter weather. Traction control helps a car gain traction on snowy, icy, or wet surfaces, especially while accelerating from a stop or a slowed position or trying to go up a slippery hill. Anti-lock brakes pump the brakes for you in a skid. If caught off guard by water, ice, or snow, prevent a skid, avoid a crash. So things we can do to prevent skids is we can slow down, first of all. We should also not pass plows and give them plenty of room to clear the roads. Never mix radial tires with other types of tires due to it causing unequal turning dynamics. If possible, avoid using the parking brake in the cold, rainy, and snowy weather to slow a moving vehicle. Do not cruise control in wintry conditions. Look and steer in the direction you want to go. Avoid sudden starts and stops. Increase following distance to 8 to 10 seconds. Use headlights, but only use low beams. If possible, do not stop when going uphill. And then also wear a seatbelt at all times. So, what to do if you are stranded in a vehicle during the winter months in a winter storm? If possible, find a safe spot to pull off of the road. Do not try to drive further until the conditions of the roads improve. Stay in the vehicle unless there is visible help within 100 yards. Call for emergency aid if needed. You can display a distress signal by hanging a brightly colored cloth on the vehicle's antenna and raising the hood. Avoid overexertion since wintry weather puts a strain on the heart. Shoveling snow or pushing a vehicle can bring on a heart attack or make other medical conditions worse. Turn on the engine for about 10 minutes each hour and run the heat to keep warm. Turn on the vehicle's dome light when the vehicle is running as an added warning signal. So we also want to be aware of carbon monoxide poisoning, and we want to make sure that we keep the exhaust pipe clear of snow and mud. We also want to open a downwind window slightly for fresh air and circulation. It's also important to watch for signs of frostbite and hypothermia, like I talked about briefly previously. So, we want to exercise to keep our blood circulating, such as clapping our hands and moving our arms and legs occasionally. Let's try not to stay in one position for too long. It's also important to stay awake. You will be less vulnerable to cold related health problems if we stay awake. It's also important to use blankets, newspapers, maps, and even the removable car mats for added insulation if we are stranded in the snow. So, we can prepare ahead of time by keeping an emergency kit in our vehicle, which should hold the following items: a properly inflated spare tire, wheel wrench, and a tripod jack, and be sure you know how to use them. A shovel, jumper cables, tow and tire chains, bag of salt or cat litter for better tire traction or to melt the snow in case you get stuck, a toolkit, flashlight and extra batteries, reflective triangles or flares, a compass, a first aid kit, an ice scraper, and a snow brush, matches in a waterproof container, scissors and string or cords, water and snacks, especially including high energy foods like unsalted canned nuts, dry fruits, or energy bars. Our emergency kit should also have blankets, extra mittens, socks, and hats, as well as a physical road map. So here are a list of a few different resources that can help through your winter seasons and your winter safety. First is the American Trauma Society of Pennsylvania Division. We also have the Electrical Safety Foundation. HealthyChildren.org has some more information of how to keep our children safe and healthy through the winter. The National Weather Service is also how we can get some weather reports. Ready.gov, also make sure we're prepared for those weathers. And then also safeelectricity.org, which can help with resources when it comes to electricity in our homes. Well, a few member resources that we have from Geisinger, just so you know, is our Know When to Go Telenurse resource, and this provides 24/7 health information and advice on a wide variety of medical topics and can help you decide what kind of medical care is right for you. So 24/7, you can call Telenurse at the number listed there. On our website, we have listed out all of our events and programs, so please visit that link there, geisinger.org/events, or you can scan the QR code on the right side of the screen to access a full list of Geisinger's event page. And then also Neighborly. Neighborly is an online platform and organization that can help connect people with free or low cost resources in your area just by a search of your zip code. So anything you're looking for, food, housing, legal help, transportation, all that stuff, you can look for those free to low cost resources on Neighborly. Thank you guys so much to listening to my presentation today, and I hope you guys stay safe and warm throughout this winter season.